So here we are today, we've got the Dodge Ram, the 1500. So this is our first premium platinum pack that we're going to be putting into this vehicle. It's a newly released kit that Lovells have made for the vehicles now. These vehicles here came out with a 3450 GVM on them. Now Lovells with their kit, we can take it to a 3950. This one here is a 5.7 Hemi, so this is the big boy. It's got all the toys in it. You will notice this particular vehicle does have aftermarket rims on it. With the Ram 1500, the factory rims that they come on, the load rating is not sufficient enough for the GVM kit. So they have had to get aftermarket rims. So these are the particular rims that the customers opted for. There is many different rims you can get as long as the load rating is high enough and compatible with the GVM. So with these, the suspension lift we're putting into it, I'm estimating and expecting about the 40 to 50 mil lift. However, with this one here, having the canopy and the tray full of tools, it may not be quite the 40, 50 mil, but it will certainly hold the weight a lot nicer. So the eyebrow height on this Dodge Ram, so center of the rim to under the guard, that's 570. So the rear eyebrow height is sitting at 570 already. I'm hoping with the 40 to 50 mil lift, we should get up to about the 630 mark. These Dodge Rams, coming out from factory, they've actually got quite a good tow rating on it. So they've got a 4.5 ton tow rating from factory. Now the Lovells, we can't actually increase the tow rating for them. It stays at the 4.5, but we can increase the GVM, so the gross vehicle mass. So like I said before, we're going from the 3450 up to the 3950. So you get an extra couple hundred kilos out of the Ram itself. With these, fantastic. If you can get the 5.7, the big motor in them, they tow really, really nice. They're quite economical and they're just a beautiful vehicle on the road. They've got quite a wide stance, so people do see you coming, but you're not affected by the wind and swaying. So by the time you have your car loaded, as well as your caravan, whatever trailer you're towing, is not affected by the wind and everything else. They sit really nice on the road. So with this kit being brand new and just been released, this will actually be the first GVM I've done onto the Dodge Rams with the actual suspension components. We did do one when we were tri-fittling it for all the testing. So we have done these suspension components in one existing one, but that was purely just to get all the testing done for the compliancy. They're quite different to the rest of the suspension. That's how Dodge Ram do them. So the design here in the bottom of these shocks is actually quite unique to Dodge Ram, or the Dodgers, as well as to Ford. The two of them, they run that design, don't know why. Slightly different to every other one. It works for them, that's fine. It's got to do with the lower control arm. This one here, it's a remote reservoir shock going into it. So same as the rest of the reservoir shocks, just allows fine tunability. So you can dial it up or down depending on the weight loads to dampen or free up that shock. The rear shock itself is also remote reservoir, adjustable. So once again, you can dial it up or down, whichever way you need to go, depending on the weight carrying capacity of the vehicle. Fully loaded, dial it up, and it's just going to dampen a lot more and take out the vibrations. Unloaded, dial it right down, and it'll be a really comfortable ride. So that's the shock absorbers that we're going to be installing into this Dodge Ram, the 1500 today. Here we are up the front of the Dodge Ram. So shock absorber sits up here through. So here's that lower control arm where I was talking about before. So for some reason, that's how the way they've designed. They found it's worked better for them in their system and setup and whatever. So that's quite nice. So that shock absorber, that'll get removed. We'll then install ours with new springs and new strut tops in there. So then from there, we've just got to run the reservoir lines and we'll mount the remote reservoir up on the chassis, somewhere easily accessible for the customer so he can dial it up or down depending on which way he needs to go. Here we are at the back of the Dodge Ram. Of the shock absorber, a couple of bolts that will just unbolt out of the way. We'll bolt in the new one. Now with these ones here, the remote reservoir is actually mounted to the shock, so that'll be quite nice. Very easy and simple to install. And then also the coil springs at the back. So this customer here has already got airbags in there, so we'll remove them and install them into the new springs for him. However, with the suspension, he shouldn't have to be relying on the airbags to hold the back of the vehicle up. Now we've completed the build on this vehicle. So with the suspension, the remote reservoir is in the rear. The rear of it is come up 50 mil from the factory. So with this suspension, it's gonna hold the weight that the customer requires. A lot better over the factory suspension. The factory one is quite small and soft. The customer already had airbags in there trying to hold the height and to be able to take the weight. I've now got no pressure in the airbags at all, and it's come up 50 mil from factory. So by far, the GVM kit certainly holds the weight the customer is going to require in this particular vehicle. Here we are down the front. Now it is quite noticeable the increase that this vehicle has got. So it has come up the 50 mil from the factory. So this morning you could probably see it had sagged a bit. So the factory suspension had sagged just over time. So we've given it additional, the 50 mil from the factory height. So it does look a lot more than 50 mil. However, it is the 50 mil from the factory height. I'm Nate from Lovells Adelaide. Thanks for watching.